Shmu, please give a full report on what the Tanakh teaches about life after physical death, or what is termed the afterlife. I'll do my best. This is one of those topics where the Tanakh is both deeply suggestive and frustratingly quiet. Unlike later Jewish tradition, or that of Christianity and Islam, the Tanakh never lays out a neat, here's what happens after you die doctrine. Instead, it gives fragments, poetic, symbolic, sometimes contradictory, that evolved over time. So then, let's walk through it in a clear, honest way together. The earliest and most dominant view of the afterlife mentioned in Judaism is called Sheol. It is a shadowy afterlife. It is the place where everyone goes, righteous and wicked alike, without exception. Sheol isn't a heaven or a hell. It's more of a dim, silent, inactive existence. There is no reward or punishment, no real relationship with God, and is described as darkness, dust, silence. Quite a change from the afterlife views that developed later. Some of the classic verses in the Tanakh that reveal this idea are found in Ecclesiastes 9:5. The dead know nothing. Psalm 6:5 states, in death there is no remembrance of you. And in Job 7:9 we find the statement, he who goes down to Sheol does not come up. In plain terms, in early Tanakh, thinking death is the end of meaningful existence. Not annihilation exactly, but close to a shadow state. Not the bright, well-lit, rosy-imaged picture that would develop later. What we have to always keep in mind is life after death is not the main focus in the Torah, prophets, and writings. The Tanakh is strikingly this worldly. True rewards are found in the here and now and reveal themselves as long life, children, land, prosperity. Punishments happen here, not after we physically die, and are expressed now as disease, exile, early death. Hashem's covenantal framework is about this life, not the next. For example, in Devarim, Deuteronomy 28, are listed blessings and curses, all earthly. If you're looking for go to heaven if you're good, you won't find it here. As Israel begins to find itself in the land of promise, some cracks begin to appear, in which hope beyond physical death starts taking hold of the Jewish consciousness. Later texts start hinting that Sheol might not be the final word. Ideas that Hashem can rescue a soul from Sheol begins finding space in early Talmudic and rabbinic debates. Psalm 16:10 comes right out and says it, you will not abandon my soul to Sheol. And in Psalm 49:15, we see that God will redeem my soul from the power of Sheol. This introduces a radical idea. Maybe God's power extends beyond death. During the time of the Babylonian exile, the concept of an individual resurrection, rare but huge, begins to appear in Jewish thought. The clearest statement appears in the writings of Daniel. Many who sleep in the dust shall awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame. This is the first unmistakable reference to a resurrection, a coming judgment, and moral differentiation after death. This is late 2nd century BCE and represents a major theological shift. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, we have the vision of the Valley of Dry Bones. At face value, it's about Israel's national restoration, which came to fruition in 1948 CE. But the imagery also reveals a deeper meaning, dead bones coming back to life. Breath re-entering bodies. This became a foundation for later resurrection belief, even if originally symbolic of the nation's final return to the promised land of Israel. Another issue we Jews had to deal with was the justice problem, and the afterlife concept offers solutions. This is a huge issue that the Tanakh doesn't ignore but does wrestle with. The age-old question of why do the righteous suffer and the wicked prosper kept raising its ugly head. Books like Job and Ecclesiastes basically say there's no clear justice in this life. That tension pushes later texts toward, in the guise of postmortem justice, resurrection, and judgment. However, the whole Tanakh itself, the question remains louder than the answer. Then what about heaven and hell? The word for heaven in Tanakh is shamayim and equals sky, what we today call outer space, or the realm of God. Humans do not go there after death in early texts. Of course, as in nearly everything in life, there are exceptions. Two that come to mind are Enoch in Bereshit, Genesis 5:24, and Elijah found in 2 Malachim, Kings 2. But these are rare, mysterious cases, not a general rule. Now, what about hell? The later idea of an eternal hell isn't even in the Tanakh. The closest concept of what is understood today as hell is the word Gehenna. It was originally a real physical valley located outside Jerusalem and was basically the town garbage dump where by the 1st century CE was a place where the trash was burned with fire and destruction continuously. This eventually evolves into a place of post-mortem punishment. As it relates to the afterlife and the Hebrew Scriptures, you can think of the Tanakh's view in stages. Stage 1, early texts. Sheol equals a universal, silent end with no judgment after death. Basically nothing but some kind of shadow existence. Stage 2, as found in the Psalms and later prophets. It's in the afterlife Hashem might redeem from death and gives an ever-brief glimpse for the hint of hope. And finally, in Stage 3, introduced by Daniel and later Jewish writings, a clear concept of resurrection, judgment, a moral afterlife is disclosed. If I had to sum it up cleanly, I'd summarize it as the Tanakh does not present a fully developed doctrine of the afterlife. Instead, it does slowly unfold and evolve the ideas of the afterlife as beginning to see it as, after physical death, one enters a state of shadowy existence, Sheol. Then it moves into the hope that God can overcome death and bring about a resurrection and judgment. So, the afterlife in the Tanakh is an evolving idea, not a finished system. When it comes to the afterlife, the Bible has a very Jewish ending. Rather than promising a clear heaven or hell, the Tanakh keeps pulling attention back to how we live in the physical here and now, creating justice where we are in society, remaining faithful to Hashem's covenant with us, and trusting in Him with what we don't yet know for sure. Proverbs 3:5-6. It's almost as if the Tanakh is saying, don't obsess over what happens after death, focus on what you do before it. I hope this helps clear up any confusion as to what the Torah, the prophets, and the writings have to reveal, nor not reveal, as it pertains to life after physical death. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this with others. Until next time, this is Shmuel ben Shlomi wishing you a Shabbat Shalom.